All right. Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Hopefully, your morning or evening is getting off to a great start, and really looking forward to seeing what the energy of Taurus has to bring for all of us today. This can always be used for Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus. It can also be used for anyone in your life that you're interested in kind of looking at and hoping and wondering like what's going on. So everybody's always welcome to show up here and be a part of this. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. This little guy is Apollo. And like I said, we'll be taking a look at the next 6 to 8 weeks and really kind of helping you map out all of the possibilities. Let me put this little furry assistant down. Good boy. And let's get started here. So again, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We're going to be looking at Taurus today. And as I was starting to tune into what was available for you energetically, the image of Athena came through and also the associated animal totem, which is an owl. So we're going to be looking at both of those in just a moment. Before I get started, let me just kind of walk you through what the overall organization is for today, and then we'll take it from there. So I always like to begin with the channeled messages that I have in front of me. And that's going to allow me to connect directly to Spirit to kind of help you see what's available using my guides, using my intuition. After that, we'll take a look at the Celtic Cross. The Celtic Cross we're all familiar with. That's going to show some more granular opportunities in front of you. Then I'll take it straight to blessings and blocks, which is something that you can focus on, something hopefully that you can avoid or transmute, because the block is something sometimes that we just sort of feel or perceive. And I usually will throw out a viewer poll for you to take a look at as well at that point. And then we'll move along a little bit later today to look at a meditation and a final card. There are some other things in between, but that's the overall outline for what we're going to do today. Okay. If you would like to show some support or kind of connect with me, you'll notice that there are some really cool messages from members. Anyone that has green text is a member. You can join the channel and be a supporting member here by clicking on that icon. You can also do super chat or super sticker by doing that. And this allows me to continue to update all of my sort of setup here. I have one more fun thing that I'm working on, which hopefully I'll be able to have an overhead cam that I'll be working on, and I can cut between the two, but this takes some time. So it's probably going to come up in the next week or so if I can get the technology working. But I've been putting all of your contributions straight into gear upgrades around me. So more to come, and thank you so much for that. And that's where it goes. If you want to support for free, a great way to do that is simply to click the like button. It costs nothing. It helps a lot. Another free thing that you can do is just click subscribe. It helps people find this. And then, of course, you can do thanks later. All right, let's get into the reading today. And a reminder, Maria Margarita is going to be your moderator today. So if you have any questions, she can point you in the right direction. Let's talk about your dual totem today, Athena and her lovely companion, the owl. She, of course, is the goddess of wisdom. Wisdom and war, it's kind of interesting because unlike maybe Mars, for instance, who would just kind of like go straight into war, she's much more strategic. And there is a lot of emphasis on using intellect and being very sort of diplomatic and trying to be smart about things. So yes, she's wisdom and war, but she reminds all of us to pick battles wisely. Pick your battles wisely. Use your skills, your knowledge, and your strategy. I would also say diplomacy would be a key piece to that as well. Okay. Resolve any disagreements peacefully, if you can, with reason, and avoid conflict. So just because she can fight doesn't mean that she wants to fight or has to fight. And I think that's a sign of a really good military leader and a really good leader in general, because violence should always be the last and final sort of option, because it doesn't really resolve things. And even when you win, you lose sometimes with that. So I think she's aware of that. So picking a battle is actually sometimes more about avoiding an unnecessary sort of fight or any carnage there. So I think that's an important piece. Let's talk about symbolically where she came from and how that's going to really connect with you today and in the weeks that follow. She was birthed from the head of Zeus himself in full armor, no less. And the way that that kind of happened, there's two different myths. One is that she just kind of came from his head. The other one is because, like many stories with the gods, there's something crazy about, I think he was going to be overthrown by his next born child. And so he swallowed one of his earlier wives before Hera came along. And anyway, that wife was pregnant, and Athena was birthed from his head. He had a splitting headache, and Hephaestus had to kind of hit his head to to get rid of it. And of course, she came through. So a couple of different myths. One is that she just came out of nowhere. The other one was because, of course, he was trying to hide something or stop something from happening. And there's an important piece there, which is that the truth always gets out, right? She had to emerge, and she was fully armored, which to me also shows me that the truth will set you free and also has a way of protecting you from any further harm. So there's something really interesting about that. If you're trying to hide something or someone else is trying to hide something, it's probably going to come out. You might as well be on the side of truth and reason. And as you sort of navigate opportunities in the months ahead here, I think it's important to realize that sooner or later you have to face that truth, right? Because we're going to be focusing on the headspace, that's why I wanted to talk about the birth. There's a lot of cool things that can come through with this particular sort of symbol. One thing that I think of is the Seven of Cups, and we'll be looking at the positive parts of the Seven of Cups, which include brainstorming, having an epiphany, and also sort of like ideation, and also like research and development, all of the things where you get a new idea. Of course, sometimes that can be paralyzing because there's so many ideas. So I think the important thing is just to record all of them and then pick something. And there's a gem amidst all of those sort of like ideas on the chalkboard or the whiteboard. So make sure that you don't throw anything out. I remember back when I was in a more traditional job, 9 to 5. This was one of the decision points for me that I needed to move on. But I was in a meeting where they wouldn't let me speak, or they were sort of like shutting down every idea. And at a certain point, I said, I might as well just shut up or leave because you guys aren't listening. And I was way too frank, but I was sick of it. And my boss later told me, like, don't ever say that again. But if I were to talk to that person again, I would say, but you were basically not allowing me to speak. So it was valid feedback. So you have to kind of like, if you are a leader or you're facilitating a group or you want to be heard, you better listen to someone else too. And it's got to be like give and take. But if they're not listening to you, absolutely fight for yourself. What I would have done instead of saying what I said in the past, I would have said, please hear me out and please put that down on the board. We're putting everyone else's ideas. Mine are just as important or valid. And I would have just fought for myself rather than kind of like sort of like self-deprecating energy that I had at the time. So speak up for yourself, get that idea on the board, and it'll be well worth your time and energy to do that. All right, don't give up. There's some really great things here with this too, because I'm thinking of all the cards that have to do with the head. So of course, 7 of Cups, because you're brainstorming. 9 of Wands, because there's a bandage on it. And of course, she came out of his head. She was birthed out of his head. So this is saying don't give up. So the 9 of Wands is nearly at the end, nearly at that 10 of Wands moment. So don't give up. It can also have to do with just the general head space. So for some of you, there could be a migraine, a headache, or you could be dealing with a lot of stress, and it's kind of situated here in your headspace. So take some time to really decompress and get rid of any of that energy that might be sort of situated there. And that's going to be really, really important for your just general well-being. Of course, standard advice and disclaimers apply here. If you're feeling any of this stuff, you should absolutely go to a doctor and make sure that it's more than just stress. And even if it is stress, you might benefit from like talking to a counselor, or talking to a friend, finding a way to sort of like decompress. Because we're talking about the goddess of wisdom, we can't get away from something like the 8 of Pentacles, which is learning, expansion, teaching, mentorship. All of these things are really a part of the energy that's available too. So brainstorming, succeeding, pushing through, and then again, kind of learning and teaching. For some of you, there could be this final revision that's taking place. 8 of Pentacles to me is that last step before the 3 of Pentacles, which is usually publication and recognition. So you're really close. I feel like you're at that last leg of the journey. And the advice here is to just keep on keeping on, right? All right. There's an asteroid in astrology that is named after Pallas Athena. Pallas is one of her nicknames, basically. And it's associated with similar things here. So wisdom, science, strategy, diploma, being tactful, social justice, courage. Basically, Athena and also anything connected to her, it really is about doing the right thing, leaning into knowledge, leaning into science, leaning into practicality, also combining the intuition and the intelligence pieces. And you're going to be in a great place if you do that. Just think on your feet, use your head, and don't let anybody sort of try to make you second guess yourself, or don't feel like you you are not capable of doing something. She is definitely a capable goddess in mind, body, and spirit. Okay, so fight for that kind of stuff. Fight for what's right. If you are going to fight, make sure that there's the data, the information to back you up, and you should be all right. All right. Okay, so let's take a look now at her companion. So she traveled with an owl. One of the owls that I was researching, the great horned owl, it's actually an apex predator, meaning that it's at the top of its food chain. Apex predators are great to have in your totem because they indicate that if there's something that you want to do, you can do it. There's not a lot stopping you except for you. So really kind of focus on owning what it is that you're trying to accomplish and fight for it. Again, we've got a goddess of war, not a knowledge here, and we have wisdom coming through with this totem and an apex predator too. So all of this tells me that if you put your mind to it, if you put some action behind whatever it is you're trying to do, you're definitely going to see some forward momentum happening for you. One of the interesting things, there's a myth that the owl can completely turn its head around. It's actually about 135 degrees in either direction. That gives it about 270 degrees of movement overall. But this does mean that you can see things from a lot of different angles if we just sort of look at that symbol and apply it to your life. What it's going to help you do is avoid 4 of Cups and 5 of Cups moments. 4 of Cups, it's right there in front of you. 5 of Cups, you're focusing on what went wrong instead of what can go right. So a solution is either right at hand or a lot closer than you think. There might even be a blessing in the overall experience. So yeah, look around, really see what's going on around you, and don't let something distract you from the big picture. Okay. Keep your eyes, ears, and mind open to what's possible. Of course, owls having really big eyes and really big ears, or well, very good hearing rather. But the eyes are the most important thing when I kind of associate an owl with symbology. They are very specialized, and we'll be talking about this here. They are in a tube-like shape, not spherical like us, which means that they are, I believe it's farsighted. They can't see up close. It's almost like a telescope lens, right? Or a telephoto lens on your camera. So that means up close things are blurry. They depend on the feathers to kind of help them feel things when they're close and they're kind of chowing down on their meal. So I would say for you, what you really want to make sure that you're doing is you may actually have no problem looking at some of you, the big picture or the goal on the horizon is clear, but you might be so involved in that you're missing some important information or details into completing that. So I want you to look at all those small details to make sure that something doesn't fall by the wayside. If it's a business, this could be paying your taxes. Same thing for personal finances. It could also be making sure that if you said yes to an appointment, that you follow through, that you do RSVP if you need to. It's all the little sort of courtesies and agreements and mini contracts that we make that basically makes or breaks your reputation and also kind of like opens or closes opportunities on the horizon. So all those little things are so important. Make sure that you're following through on that. The next thing that I want to talk about, this came through more as a dream message, less connected with your totem. So the next few things are going to be more about things that I got in dreams. I want you to avoid what, to me in tarot, would be associated with 7 of Swords. 7 of Swords has multiple sort of ways that it can express itself. Sometimes it can express itself as outright deception. Someone is just trying to lie or get away with it. Sometimes there's a little bit of a white lie where people don't tell the whole truth. They're using their words carefully. Sometimes there's deception through omission or silence. And that's what I was picking up on. So somebody is keeping something, they're keeping it quiet. If you don't ask the right question, they're not going to give you the information that you need. So this is super vital and important when it comes to you getting into a new job, you buying a house, you partnering up with someone for any sort of reason, whether it's marriage or business, that you just want to make sure that you understand what's involved with this. Especially on the business side, I think that some of you could be stepping into a situation where maybe there's additional responsibilities that weren't talked about. Maybe there was more of a mess that you have to clean up before going in. There's a lot of different ways that you can research this without having to use cards or intuition. You can look at Yelp reviews. You can look at Google reviews. You can talk to people that have worked there or know this person, or lean into existing experience and group knowledge. Basically, this is going to help you avoid having to repeat history. The way that Spirit showed it to me was in a big folder, and there were important details, slightly out of sight, not hidden, but not easy to see. In fact, I remember it felt like I was at like a job interview or something, and there's a whole bunch of things that were part of getting ready before I agreed to it. But someone was like, "Yeah, well, you can look at that later." And then I was like, "Why don't we look at it now?" And they said, "Well, we didn't want to spoil your first day." And I looked at it and I just saw like issue after issue after issue. So try to get that information as early as possible so you know what you're getting into. And again, to me, it was deception through omission or silence, which is still deception. It's just a less, I guess it's a, to me, it's still premeditated on some levels. So if people are purposely hiding something or not telling you, just because they didn't lie, doesn't make the omission less kind of like not good. So make sure that you ask as many questions as possible, and then hold them accountable if you weren't told something. It could be breach of contract. You may be able to get out of something if they omitted something that was key that would have changed your opinion. So just remember that if you need it. For the rest of us, it's just reminding us that the sooner we kind of get stuff out and dealt with, the better. I think that's so vitally important. And the minute you see something, just like here, I see some spam coming through. The minute you see something, just knock that out like a little gopher, and you don't need to have that, right? So there you go. Okay, next piece. I think that just doing research in general is going to be important. Whether it's a new job, whether you have a project or something that you're going to be a part of, make sure that you are completely prepared for that first step, that first, also like for those of you that might be, maybe it's an announcement, maybe it's kind of like stepping out and doing something or saying something. If this is your first big thing, you just want to make sure that you've practiced and done the research. Okay. Preparation is key. Once the preparation is done, you may not need to look at everything. That's why, by the way, I sit here for like an hour to an hour and a half before I get started and scribble all this stuff down. I don't read the cards verbatim. I don't always read all the cards. But it's any public speaker knows that you need some sort of a basis to kind of go on before I mean, even when I'm using the tarot cards, I have now something to interpret. It's good to have something in front of you, because then that kind of helps. It's the glue that keeps everything together. So get some cards, put some stuff on your phone. You know, there's a lot of modern ways that you can do this, or your iPad. Just make sure that you have something. And like I said before, avoid repeating history. There's a reason we study history in school. It's so that we don't do the same things again and again. It's so that we don't forget things that didn't go well either. So learn from past experiences. All right. The next piece had to do with cognitive health and mental acuity. Fancy words for like, are you confused? Are you concentrating? Is there things that are going on with forgetfulness? I got all of that sort of energy, and it could simply be stress that exacerbates that. It could be a lack of sleep, because we've all been there, right? If you've worked like a 10 or 12-hour day, by the end of the day, you can make a simple mistake and, you know, sometimes even injure yourself, or you make a mistake that's going to cost you like 5 or 6 extra hours of work the next day. I would say for you, the most important thing to do is to pace yourself and leave a little bit early when you're starting to feel something like that happens. Definitely shouldn't be driving if you're that tired or that exhausted. There could also be someone in your life that's going through something like ADHD, could be Alzheimer's, or there could be dementia. There could also just be a lack of an ability to concentrate, which could be because of distractions in the environment. So whoever in your life needs a little bit of help, give them that help. If it's you, work on stress management, sleep, diet. And then if it continues, obviously you should go to a doctor, because it could be something more than just a little bit of stress. But concentration is going to be important. If you need help on something, ask. And if you're feeling like you're torn in too many different directions, which is often why we can't concentrate, just say no to things, right? Six of Pentacles would come through with this too. I can do that. I can't do that. I can do this now. I won't do this until tomorrow. Hold your ground on that. People will let you do as much as you want to do. It's not so much that they're using you. It's that if you're willing to do it, who are they to say no? So say no, or ask for help, or just let them know, say this isn't realistic. It's not going to get done. You're not going to be in trouble for doing that. And if you are, that's actually a big red flag, and it's time to get out of that situation. Finally, and I think this can be easily handled, just watch deadlines, watch the timing, have someone there to kind of help you with timekeeping or project management. And there actually are people that do just those things. So there you go. Overall, pretty good stuff. When we're looking at big ideas for the channel messages. Athena is the goddess of wisdom and strategy. She's just telling you to use your head. Use your head in any situation. And that is both your third eye and then also like your practical knowledge. The blending of the two is where your power is going to exist. When we're talking about the owl being able to look in all directions, it's really reminding you to avoid things that make you either near or farsighted. When you're focusing too much on what's here or what's there, you're missing all the middle ground, right? And sometimes people talk about how things blur in the background, shallow depth of field. Things start to, it's because the focus is here. So when the focus is here, things there go into a shallow depth of field. So same things happen with us when we're looking really close. We can't see everything else. When we're looking really far, we're not looking at what's here. So whatever your depth of field is in your own sort of like mental vision, you want to make sure that you're kind of looking in the different directions so you can focus on multiple fields at the same time. Okay. And then the rest of it here, I think, is just making sure that I think transparency is so important. That's why that sort of gentle Seven of Swords energy was coming through. I do feel like it's very much avoidable, but there is something that's going on where people, they want to see how much you're going to ask, how much they can get away with. And you're going to be okay. You're going to ask the right questions. I do believe that. So let's move on to the Celtic Cross today. I think I'm inspired to use the Luna deck. I'm probably just going to go ahead and do that. We haven't used it for a bit, so I'm going to use that today. There'll be other places where you can vote, but for that one, I just was kind of called to use it. So sometimes I let you vote, but right now I was like, let's go with that deck. So let me just find it real quick, and we'll get started. All right, so I'm gonna move the camera down here again. Hopefully I'll have a different setup soon where I don't have to kind of adjust this, but for now I do. All right, everyone. Thank you for giving me a minute to set up. Again, the reason I don't do more up and down with the camera is just that it takes a bit of adjustment. So thank you so much. I am working on a solution, but it's going to take me probably till the weekend to have that solved. So I appreciate your patience. All right, so let's take a look now at your catalyst card. Again, we're going to be looking at, you can use this for sun, rising, moon, and Venus. And we're looking at Taurus for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Your first message here has to do with your overall desire. Here we have drive. Not only is this a chariot, but we're also talking about the ability to kind of like, what's your drive? What's your passion? And that once you kind of connect with that drive and that passion, it's almost as if momentum starts to kind of like take over for itself. The chariot kind of connotations when we're looking at this card also have to do with your ability to take control. And so to basically take the wheel and drive. And then also, I think, making sure that you're driving something forward, you would be the driving force, which would be a very sort of authoritative role where Athena would come through as well. And this one, sort of fight for what it is that you want, keep it on the right track, keep pushing forward. So drive has so many different meanings. It's a very rich word. And whether we're using it as a verb or to describe something, it doesn't matter, but a little bit of both here. Your drive and your passion, pushing something forward, controlling it and navigating and sort of like leading it, all of that is a piece of this. Ganesha comes through to help us remove any blocks that we might have in our life. So for some of you, the block may be, can I control this? Am I in control? What am I going to do about this? So you're going to have to make some decisions in that particular front and decide what matters to you and what you're going to do about it. You will be able to figure this out, though. That's basically what this card is showing me. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic about whatever it is that's in front of you. But really working on the drive and the passion piece, like I'm excited to do this. I think that's super key to the success of this. Okay. So we'll go to your center card. We have the world in reverse. Big changes. We have the Tower in the recent past as well. So let's talk about these. We'll start first with the world card. So the world card in reverse. Normally this card would be upright. A lot of times on the world card, you would see her with all the different sort of, there's usually 4 corners here. It's not illustrated on this one where you're seeing like different elements or different seasons. So we're seeing a lot of change happening for you. What is the world upside down? It could be you have just moved. You are deciding to move. You're deciding to quit. You've just quit. New relationship or an old relationship ending. Something really key. Or it could just be in your head too that you've decided today's a new day and I'm going to change who I am and what I do. A big shift. But it does feel like you are the driving force in this shift. And the future Tower card that we're going to talk about here in a second is actually a result of you. So I think the most important thing as we look at the month ahead for you is to follow through on that idea. And if we give you the 2 cards here at the center, so we have the World card and she was crossed by the Ace of Wands. So this particular card is about the change. This is about the idea or the vision and that push that's coming through after that. It's going to be important for you to be clear on why you want to do this change, why the change is important, how it's going to look and feel. This is also vitality, the drive that we're talking about with that lovely catalyst card that we were just looking at. So I think for many of you, not losing track of the why. We get lost sometimes in our lives. So I've been there. You've been there, I'm sure, too. You could just, sometimes it's an argument. Sometimes it's a goal. Sometimes it's your job. Sometimes it's a relationship. And you think to yourself, why am I doing this? I need you to find your why. It's going to be different for each one of you. But when you center yourself and focus in on the why, which is represented by the Ace of Wands here, then the how becomes a lot easier and the when becomes a lot easier. In fact, things just start to kind of fall in place. So I think that if you're ready and willing to do that, things are going to be good. Okay. You might have a new epiphany or a new idea. So some of you, there could just be something that really turns your world inside out, an epiphany, some sort of, maybe even an outside idea coming in and you think, oh, I never thought of it from that perspective. This changes things. So at the center of your month, world is a very nice energy for change. It's a lot easier to deal with, but it is going to mean that in order for you to do something, you have to release some stuff. Okay. By the way, for those of you that might be on the precipice of finishing something, the world card's pretty good. The world card shows delivery, distribution, dispersion, dissemination, whatever word you want to use for it, but it shows things going out into the wild. The upside down card tells me that you may be surprised by the reach of it. It also shows me that when it comes to your overarching plan for like life after that, that there's going to be some planning that needs to take place because the world upside down is topsy-turvy. So sometimes if you're a student, for instance, and you've spent, 2, 4, 8, however many years studying for your degree or degrees, once the graduation happens, once the thesis is done, once the dissertation, whatever it is that you're doing is finished, sometimes there's that world upside down feeling, which is like, now what do I do? I've been focusing so much on this academic experience that now there's this. Maybe for many of you, you've been working and working and working for like an opportunity in a job. You got it. And now you're thinking, so now what's next? So I want you to think of the what's next as well. Not just why you're doing what you're doing, but what you're going to be doing after you do what you're doing. So like being present and also this is what we're talking about, macro, and like long distance, looking at what's up close, looking at what's in the distance. So you're going to be going between the two and then looking around a little bit. So all of that's going to be key. Lo and behold, we got the Nine of Wands. We got a bunch of the cards that I was seeing, including the Seven of Cups. But so we have the Nine of Wands here. This is what I was talking about. You can actually see the appropriately so here. I've got a band-aid, but you see the bandage on the forehead. So this is why sometimes the hardest battle that we have to fight is the one that's in our head or in our headspace or in other people's heads. So I think that the biggest barrier for many of you that is keeping you from going from the 9 to the 10 of Wands is that little idea that maybe sometimes there's that self-defeating idea, like, I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if I'm good enough, all the things that we can kind of put in our head, or someone else may be thinking, is this person really ready for this? Do they have what it takes? And so for many of you, what you will be fighting right now is that internal sort of thought, like, yeah, I can. And if you're going to try to overcome prejudice in the other person's mind, you're going to have to find a way to kind of maybe show them, because this is a demonstrative card. It isn't actually always about telling them. Ace of Wands, you can show it through a visual aid, through facts and information, the hard facts. Ace of Swords would be more like, here's what it is, and you're talking about it. So show them a real life example, a best practice out in the world or industry. And it's going to be a lot harder for them to say no when you have tangible data that are showing that this is possible. As I said earlier, you also need to just be focusing on your own mental acuity and mental health, because sometimes the stress and whatnot can kind of just get the better of us. So make sure that you are taking care of you. Okay. So here we go. The Tower card, recent past. It feels like many of you are either already in this or you see it coming. What I really love about the way this card is illustrated is we have the facade, the mask. Ostensibly, that mask is going to fall off as the person hopefully lands on some soft ground underneath them. But basically, this is about old truths, old ideas, old things falling away. So I would actually say the hardest thing has already kind of happened here with the World card. And now as we kind of step into this, it's just like letting the dust settle a little bit. So whenever you're stepping into something new, allowing that dust to settle, that's the hardest thing sometimes. And making sure, this could be why I was seeing like fogginess around your headspace. So sometimes as you're getting used to something new, it's kind of like construction or the birth of a galaxy or a solar system where, the sun's at the center and there's this like accretion disk of dust, and you don't know what the planets are going to look like. You don't know what the system is going to look like, but you trust that there's going to be some order. So some of what you're doing is helping maybe be that light amidst the chaos. You're going to be the voice of reason, and you're going to show the way, lead the way. Okay. It's time for a move for some of you. Not much more of a clear indication for me that I don't need much more than having the World in the Tower. The Tower usually shows that there is maybe you're between spaces. The World usually shows that there's movement here. So you're on the precipice of it. The only thing that I want to see with the Tower is that you have a safety net, because that's what I was worried about when I was looking at this character in the Tower. I'm hoping that just like a high trapeze artist or someone that works on the tightropes up there, that there's basically a net to catch them, because you don't want to work without that. So what does that mean in everyday, language and speak here? It means that if you're going to quit your job, that you have a savings set up or you have the next job set up. It means if you're going to sell your house, you have another place to move to. If you're going to move across country, you have a way to take care of yourself. If you're going to leave a relationship, you have someone that you can stay with. Get the plan B, C, D, E, F in place so that you can leave knowing I'm okay. We all need those safety nets. Get the safety net and then move, because it does feel like it's time. All right. All right. I like what I see in your crowning position. This is showing what's going on in your head. It's also showing what you're going to be able to call in or project outwardly. We have King of Pentacles in reverse. So one of the things, and this is you, by the way, showing up in the cards. This is very much indicative of Taurus. So I would say one of the things you want to be focusing on right now is this feeling of I matter, I'm important. I don't mind seeing a card that's sort of self-focused when we're looking at growth and development and when I'm doing a personal reading. If this was someone else, I would warn that you do like if this was a partner, a friend, or a boss, I would say they seem to be overly focused on themselves. But the way that I'm seeing this right now is because of the Tower and because of the World, it feels like you do need to focus on yourself. Maybe many of you have been great at facilitating, helping, leading others. So this card is saying, don't lose track of what's going on at home and with you. King and Queen of Pentacles rule the home space. And then, of course, your finances and what matters most to you, what's near and dear to you. So do a little audit of who you are, what's going on. This looks very much like Zeus, which is appropriate since we were talking about Athena just a few moments ago. And focus on matters of self. I think that this is also saying to nurture yourself. And for many of you, it's about what you're putting into your body and into your space. Unfortunately, the King of Pentacles reverse is usually a sign that you could clean up things like diet. It could also just be like what you're listening to, but the ingestion of either something physical or something metaphysical needs to be cleaned up. There's usually a little bit of going over the top. Nine of Cups has a lot of that energy too. So more, if you are, like, again, I'm not a dietitian. Standard disclaimer here applies, like work with a dietitian if you're going to change your diet. But usually something like this would involve like having a little bit more vegetables, making sure that you have balance in your diet, for instance. But when it comes to money, I'm happy to see the King of Pentacles there. Midas touch, ability to make things work. The basic message with the card in reverse is to not overdo anything. So just avoid extremes, and I think you'll be okay. And put your energy and your sort of attention into things where you're really going to see a return on it. Okay. We have the Hierophant in the near future. I love this particular card because it shows that you don't need to work with the old systems. You are the new gatekeeper. Typically in a Hierophant card, you would see what looks like a Pope-like figure, a papal figure, and then you would see two sort of students or people kind of like underneath that hierarchy. In this one, we're sort of seeing the New World Order where you don't have to worry about that anymore. It's more about you stepping through this gateway that you've built and just trusting that it's going to be okay. So I see a slightly rebellious Hierophant here, and I see a structure that's already been torn down through what we just saw here. So this is your big cognitive idea, the epiphany. This is the change that it's creating. This is the dust that's going to settle. And this is the truth of what it will one day bring you, which is a portal, a new way of thinking. You are the North Star that we see here, or the shooting star here that's going to blaze a new path. And this is sort of like a nebula here, a star factory, basically. So it is not about repeating what was done. There may be systems in place that don't work for you. This is a very entrepreneurial Hierophant. There is no gatekeeper. And if the gatekeeper doesn't work for you, then you just create a new gate. There's not like there's not just one way out. You can knock down a wall if you need to, and that's kind of the message that I'm getting with that. It is an organizational card, so even if you do something new, you need a schedule. This was something that I learned a long time ago when I decided to do what I'm doing. I have a broadcast schedule that I set up every month. Not every YouTuber does, but a lot of them that have been around for a while. There's certain amounts that they put out per week, and usually certain days that they broadcast. That allows me to prepare, that allows me to channel, that allows you to know when to show up. So do something for yourself. Decide, this is what I want to do. This is when I want to do it. This is how I'm going to structure it. And if you need help, remember what I said in the channel messages, that you can bring in a project manager or an assistant or someone to kind of be accountable for you if you need that. All right. Here we go with what's going on in your mind, in your body, how the way your soul is showing up. So in the soul space, we have the Nine of Cups reversed. Extremes. We want to avoid the extremes when and if possible. I do like the Nine of Cups in the upright. It came through reverse, but in the upright position, this is very much like looking forward to things, being on the sort of positive or sunny side of the street. When we get the card in reverse, it means that you can overreact to negative news, even like positive news. And it's sort of like making sure that you understand that it's natural in a chart to have those sort of ups and downs. We want to pay attention to the average or the middle, and that's where you want to aim. So just don't let one positive thing kind of like inflate your ego and one negative thing deflate it. They're just it's kind of like two ends of a spectrum. Most of the people are falling in the middle, and that probably means you're averaging out at doing a great job. Okay, I think that's the key thing here. Something is going on in the environment around you, and this one definitely. One last thing, actually, before we get into this, and this is maybe related to what I'm just going to talk about, which is stress in the environment. The Nine of Cups in the reverse state can show that you may be leaning into things like caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, overeating, doing something to an extreme to sort of self-medicate. So if there is something that is making you unhappy or is kind of like just taking you off your normal center space, then it's important for you to deal with whatever that is, because whatever you're doing is not as it's not really the core of the problem. It's just a reaction to it. So focus on taking care of yourself and dealing with anything that might be going on in the environment, which is a nice segue into this. So this is your environmental card. This is what's going on around you. We have the Three of Swords. Thankfully, the card is in reverse. So with the card reversed, there is this opportunity to reclaim your divine right for happiness. I talked a lot about this when I was doing some of the New Year's and New Year's readings and some of the impromptu readings that followed, which is really that this is the year to focus on personal happiness and just liking who you are, what's going on in your life. And if there's something in your life where there's a person that constantly kind of needles or gets under your skin or is just kind of creating this sense of well, the word that comes in my mind is dis-ease, which makes disease. So you want, if someone is taking it, making it difficult, it's not easy. That dis-ease creates disease. It creates the migraines, the the stomach sort of issues with digestion and everything. So focus on happiness. And why are you unhappy? Get to the core of that. The main thing here is also to understand what we were just talking about. There are highs and lows. Sometimes that Three of Swords can really come through and feel extremely punctuated. And I don't want to take away from something that's painful, but the owl came through to help us see all of the things that we're missing. In the Five of Cups, there's always two extra cups there that you can reach out to. In the Four of Cups, there's an ace that's hidden. So there's love and opportunity around you based on what I was picking up on. So don't miss out on that just because one person is acting a fool, right? So prioritization, perspective, all of that is going to be important with respect to this Three of Swords. Okay. You understand where I'm getting at with that. Some of you may be also kind of licking the wounds of a breakup, or maybe you were made redundant or laid off from a job, and there's something about that that's just kind of taking a while to set in. And that's okay. Change takes time. This is change for the better, though. The World card is basically the keystone here that's tying it all together. So it's about expansion. It's about something new. It's about knocking through those old boundaries. So I do feel like you're headed into a better trajectory and path than you were in the past. It's just a matter of seeing beyond the sort of fog around you at this moment. And that is a nice sort of connection with the next card here, which was the Seven of Cups, which was something that I kind of had a feeling it would come through today. It's just like the Nine of Wands did. So the Seven of Cups here is really your opportunity to explore what's available to you. The typical Seven of Cups, you would see a person looking out and a bunch of things in the air. And it's like, I could go for this. I could go for this. So in the opportunity space, the sky's the limit. The important thing for you is to limit how long you're going to sit sometimes in that. I don't know, you can get paralyzed. So don't limit the possibilities. But I would say when it comes to brainstorming, do it in punctuated bursts. Maybe take a half hour here or an hour there. Or if you're trying to solve something, sit down and just think, what do I really feel best about? You can over intellectualize, you can overthink it. And that's the danger with this. I'm all for reaching for the possibilities. But once you've reached for one, don't think, but what about that one? How about this one? Like, go ahead and reach for one and try it on and see where you sit with that after a little bit. And I think you'll be surprised how it will naturally sort of show up and you can start to see momentum. If you're not seeing the momentum, then it's time to move on with that. Okay. Taking the mask off is something that we're seeing in a couple of these. So we see that sort of like the dramatic arts symbol, happy and sad here. I think it's important for you just to take the mask off and really allow yourself to be whatever you want to be. Okay. You don't have to be someone else. The mask can also show that you're going to try on something new. That's fine. But don't hide who you are and don't limit what you can do. I think that's going to be so important. Okay. The other thing here when we're looking at possibilities is just, like I said, concentration and mental acuity and forgetting things. So if you need any help with any of those things, then lean on the appropriate person to make sure that something isn't falling through the cracks. All right, we do have the King of Swords here. In the outcome, he is reversed. I actually love a good King or Queen of Swords reversed, especially if it's in a powerful placement like the outcome. Ultimately, this is pushing you to get your foot in the right direction and start walking to sign that contract eventually, to get things moving. We talked about the importance of being detail oriented and discerning when it comes to these changes or these opportunities. At a certain point, you're going to have everything you need, and this card is saying, all right, let's do it. If not now, then when? If not now, then why not? Really sort of think about this. You should also be able to be frank and honest and direct. This card does not sort of use kid gloves. So if there's something important to be done or to be said, then go ahead and say it and then move on. Okay. It's not about being cruel. It is just about saying what needs to be said. And sometimes we avoid doing that. It could be that you're the one that wants to break up or quit or do something. But it's only going to happen if and when you move your lips and use your voice box and make this thing happen. Okay. So there you go. Let's go ahead and expand this into the extended forecast here, looking at health, wealth, love, and destiny. We'll begin with your health card. Just grab my glasses for this. All right, so we have Archangel Raziel on this one here, and it says, thank you for helping me channel my gifts and talents. We have healing hands on this. Some of you that are kind of waking up intuitively may have felt this. Maybe you woke up in the middle of the night and you could just feel like heat and light and energy in your hands. Some of you might have also had a moment where you were really doing something that moved you and you could feel that sort of flush of energy. Sometimes it comes into your hands. For those of you that really feel the awakening here, this happens when people are kind of naturally attuned to Reiki, to even just hands-on healing that doesn't require a technology like Reiki, massage therapy, acupuncture. Medical doctors have the same sort of healing hands. Also, any sort of nurse or counselor, mothers can have this well. But basically, you're going to help and heal. This also shows a receptive energy to this as well. So all the things that I just mentioned, especially when it comes to like Reiki or massage therapy or acupuncture, give yourself the benefit of receiving a healing. This card is really showing that either using someone else's spiritual gift, like not using, but accepting someone else's spiritual gifts as healing, or using your own to heal yourself or others is really what's coming through with this. So treat yourself to healing if you need it, or practice a little bit and see what can come through. We also see the third eye chakra coming through on this. So we have more than just the 7. You have, of course, the ones that we always see plotted out on a chart, but you have little tiny energy points in your hands. You have them in your ears. You have them in your eyes. There's a lot of other points in the body. So the ones that this card is highlighting is the third eye and the hands. So if you're feeling that, great. The other thing here is to basically take some action here, because when I'm seeing this is hands-on. So I think for you, if you could do something where you're using your hands, like drawing, sculpting, pottery, going outside and working in the yard, doing home improvements, hands-on stuff, arts and crafts. I don't care what you're doing, but basically if there's something that you can do where you're grounding that energy and putting it into something, it'll be really effective. Knitting and sewing and fashion, all that stuff would be a part of this as well. Basically, you just have to think, what am I going to do? What am I going to put my hands-on energy into, creatively, spiritually, productively? You're going to see some great progress when you do that. Specifically looking at cards regarding your health, balance comes through more than once. The World card in reverse can show things being upside down, so can show like a fall. The Tower can show that. They can also show that you're going to do a reset. The World and the Tower together are auspicious because you're basically saying, this didn't work, I'm going to change it, and I'm starting from scratch. So this could be cleaning up your diet. This could be cleaning up your house. By the way, when the Tower comes through, a lot of times there's a need to kind of clean things up. So you're going to take the initiative and you're going to own it. It will only work if you do that. Okay. The other thing here that's going to be super important, it is both symbolic and it can be physical as well. So when we have the 3 of Swords in reverse, this is saying, I'm not going to do things that make my heart weak. This could be things that make you sad. If you're dealing with stress and any sort of sadness or depression in your life, it could also be deciding to eat and exercise appropriately. And for this, you must work with a professional to know what's right for you. Every body and everybody is different. So make sure that your body is kind of connected to whatever this plan is, and that you're doing what feels right. But work with a professional. It does feel like the heart space needs some love. So that's both feeling happy and then putting good things into your body with like food, and then exercise and environment. So the heart is central to health this month. And it could see the biggest improvement for you based on what we're looking at with the tower in the world there showing a reset. Okay. And like I said before, concentration, mental acuity, distraction, whatever's going on here, I think that's going to be brought into balance when whatever's causing this kind of goes away. A lot of times that can be a person or a thing that's upset you. So kind of dealing with whatever it is that's bringing the imbalance in your life is going to be key. And then you can be back to your normal self and in a good space. Okay. So I like what I'm seeing overall. Again, there's moderation is key here. So balance, resetting the sort of template when things are with what's going on in your life. Again, focusing on any sort of migraines or headaches, and then also the heart space. There are a few things that could be going on with you this month, but because of your approach sometimes, and you get very stubborn on certain things. So this is about kind of like letting some stuff go and being open to trying different things. I think that will help you out there. Okay, let's move on to wealth. The wealth card here is charity, prayer, and contemplation. It says connect with heaven, ask and you shall receive. Really good card coming through with respect to wealth. It's going to be important for you to be able to see it in order to be it. So connecting with heaven is connecting with your higher self. And the prayer and contemplation can simply be, how are you meditating? What are you doing to envision what's coming through? Are you continuing to work on those fronts? I think this is going to be, it's a nudge from the universe to make sure that you're doing that. It's also a confirmation. If you're ready for something, it will come through. The charity piece I love. Let's talk a little bit about charity when we're looking at the law of attraction. So this sort of idea of being able to give back and to be giving and forgiving, it's a little bit of both here, is that even when you need or want, you can still usually give a little bit. And this could be giving time and energy, giving away old possessions, giving up something. But like when you release something from your energy, you're telling the universe, I have faith that there will be more. I'm not telling you to give up the money. I just told you there's a lot of different things that you can give up, especially when it's the stuff that's kind of weighing you down. So when you let just an exchange of, that's all money is energy, but you can do it with time. So you could, if someone needs your help, you could go help them clean their house or move, or you could spend, a half hour with them and share some tea and talk about stuff. That's giving. And that's an exchange. And that's saying, I'm going to put that out there and I'm going to trust that more will come. And so you're putting $1 in the future bank, and there's going to be interest on that, right? Something is going to come. You're not going to do it with the express purpose of that, but it's sort of like, I know that there's a flow of energy. So if you want to see a change, do something for someone else. Stop focusing on whatever it is that where you're not seeing the movement. And as you start to kind of like put energy in other things, all the channels open up, including wherever that place of being stuck was. So if you can give. And it doesn't have to be in the traditional sense. Let's look specifically at the work stuff. Now, I already talked about the hidden file. I think for some of you, there could be something that they're not talking about in the job description there if you're looking for work. If you're going to work with a financial advisor, they may not be talking about the fine print, like what the percentage rate is, what the terms of the lease or the agreement or the payment structure is. So really make sure that you understand all of those things. Other things that I'm seeing here is that you have permission from the galaxy, not from me. You don't need it from me, but like, be happy. If you're not happy, if there's something toxic or not joyful about the environment that you're in, change the environment or move is what we're seeing here. Definitely, there might be a move necessary for a new job, for growth, personal growth or career growth. It's you have to follow through and do what feels right for you. Okay. I do see an offer coming in. It feels like there's a little bit of back and forth that needs to happen, like we saw there. Definitely when it comes to money, you're in a pretty powerful position this month with the King of Pentacles there. You don't want to overreach, but you don't want to sell yourself short. So push right up to the comfort zone when it comes to a negotiation. And then when you feel like it's good enough, say yes. Just don't overshoot on that one, because the card reverse could be asking for a little bit too much. A good rule of thumb when you're negotiating too is to maybe come within 5 to 10% of what you think they're going to do, but don't go so far that it just feels uncomfortable, or that you're insulting their, like, it's not realistic. Make a realistic goal that's asking for just a little bit more than you thought you could get. They'll probably want to take it down a little. You'll get very close to that middle zone. Both of you will be happy. Let's see here. The main thing for many of you is that you never stop dreaming. It doesn't matter if you're 8, 38 or 88. I don't care. You're going to continue to want to try new things. And the 7 of Cups is just a reminder to keep on dreaming, keep on believing, keep on exploring different things. Okay. You do need to speak up. The King of Swords here can also be about a revision that needs to take place, because the card is reversed when it comes to a contract. So don't be afraid to redline something. Ultimately, I feel pretty good about things for you, because we do see the King of Pentacles and the King of Swords there in the crowning positions, or the crowning and the outcome. So I feel like you'll be able to do what you want. If you're, again, entrepreneurial energy definitely coming through with this very unique Hierophant card. Okay. Awesome. All right. Let's take a look now at love and relationships. All right. So we have the Stargate heart, which is very much in alignment with what we saw in the environment there. So we have heart chakra opening, unlocking, and generosity, everything that we just talked about here. So here's your Stargate card. This was what we saw in the environment, which has everything to do with the heart. And then we were just talking about your wealth card, and it was about opening up and giving things away, or letting things go a little bit. So this card is saying basically opening, unlocking, and generosity. That outreach or that outpouring actually allows for space to exist here and new things to come in. You may really meet someone that you enjoy this month, or you may be able to go a little bit deeper in a relationship. Let's talk about it. All right, so we're going to focus on those of you in a relationship, or focusing on a key relationship. It doesn't have to be love. This could be sister, brother, mother, father, aunt, uncle, etc. Love to me is with a capital L. So you can either look at it romantically or relationship wise. So your key relationship focus, let's look at those of you that have that and want to focus on it. So for those of you in a key focus, 2 strong individuals, really strong individuals. So this one is coming through more as you, because it was in your headspace. So again, there's a lot going on in your life where you're focusing on you. And this particular one, because I see an outspoken person and I see someone that gives a lot. And I think what's going to be important is opening up the lines of communication. So one partner needs to talk a little bit more. One partner needs to give back a little bit more. So definitely nurturing and talkative or action-based. But I'd love to see something where you meet in the middle. So there's that open dialogue. There's also give and take. Right now, one is giving, one is taking. So we need to have the balance come through just a little bit more. Don't be afraid, if you're the one that's doing all the giving, to say what you need. Say, I really like it when I receive this, or this really makes it easier for me. So putting that in a way to kind of like set the other person up for success is going to be important. Okay. I think that some of you may be moving away from or toward a new relationship. So this can be moving in or moving out. The good news is, no matter which direction you're headed, I see good things happening for you, a new start, right? There could be, if you're moving out or moving on, this sort of rebound energy that's coming through. I think before you rebound, and we're kind of now moving into the next energy here, before you rebound, know who you are, know what you're looking for. So this is a nice segue into those of you that are looking for a new friendship or relationship in your life. This card is saying, if you don't know who you are, how are they going to know who you are or what you want? So you definitely need to know thyself, know yourself. I do see really strong energies. I don't read gender in cards because it's not about that. It's about kind of like power, energy, experience when I'm really looking at the court cards. So I see 2 evenly met individuals here. So with 2 kings, I'm happy. This shows me that old souls, experienced souls, again, different ways of communicating. So whether you're in a relationship or looking for a relationship, the biggest challenge is one partner doesn't communicate the same way. One seems a lot more introverted as well. So this could present challenges because the way you expect or desire for communication or the demonstration of love to kind of factor out, it may not be the way that person works. So yeah, you're going to have to find out how to meet in the middle. And I think you'll figure that out. But that's the challenge. I also think that a lot of you need to do some healing first on yourself, being happy, being complete, taking your health, making that a priority. And that's going to help. And let the dust settle. If you've made any big changes in your life, let the dust settle first before you bring another person into the mix. For everyone that is single, happy, or really not focused on relationships, the good news for you is I feel like this is where you can really do the building. This is a very architectural Hierophant card. So put your energy into building something new, right? Something that really matters for you. And when you start to focus on that, I think that's going to be really essential, because you're going to be able to see growth and because it's a good return on your investment. Okay. So overall, it looks pretty good. I think the only important thing that I see here for those that are looking for love or single and happy is just to focus on not making the next relationship a rebound. And then also for those of you in a relationship, if you're unhappy about something, remember what I said about the secret file. It has a way of getting out. It's better just to talk openly. And that's why the King of Swords was there. Ultimately here we saw the heart is opening, unlocking, and hopefully that other person will be open to it. And if they're not, it's a key red flag that you don't need to be in that. Okay. Let's move on to your outcome card here. This is Destiny. We have Poseidon and the word flow at the very bottom here. So for many of you, this is a chance to really see things progress. I love that we have the ocean coming through here, and it's kind of a nice connection to the Stargate card and that heart card. So once the heart opens, all this sort of like movement and passion and energy follows through with that too. So I feel like you're going to get really strong knowing who you are. Your heart space is going to get really strong this month, and you should let things flow through the heart. That's going to be, if we go back to ancient Egypt, the heart was the seat of knowledge. It kind of makes sense in a sort of universal flow because love is the language, lingua franca of the universe, right? So it's the one thing that the angelic and higher sort of energies and ascended masters kind of connect to. It's love with a capital L, unconditional, universal love. It's a currency, it's a flow, it's an energy, and you can take this currency and energy with you. Love travels from lifetime to lifetime. So really let the love flow through the heart. Love who you are, self-acceptance, self-confidence. Love what you're doing, passion, drive, and attract love in your life by kind of existing in that frequency of love. Something I talked a long time ago about in one of my my sort of like intuitive development videos. So yeah, it's about being in the frequency of love this month. Let's pull one card. I think we kind of summarized some of the big idea, but let's pull one more card to see what your big idea is. All right. A lot of the cards that we talked about have come through. The Nine of Wands, the Nine of Cups, and now we have the Seven of Swords. So this was the omission that I talked about. So something that needs to come to the light of day will come to the light of day, even if, or especially if, someone in your life didn't want you to see it. The truth prevails, and the truth has a way of coming out. So you could be the beacon of truth and justice and logic, or you can embrace it when it comes through. Sometimes when we are revealed whatever needs to be revealed here in the Seven of Swords, we sometimes wish we could put it back in the box, but much like Pandora's box, what comes out can't go back in. So embrace the truth, allow it to inform your future, and know that this is a time of revelation, realization, and embracing something, and sometimes just kind of like saying what's on your mind. The truth can be small. It doesn't have to be something really big. The truth can just be, I don't want this, right? This enough is enough. And sometimes I've talked about this before, we're not telling ourselves the truth. So that little but big truth is going to be important. So listen to yourself and listen to others. And one last thing before we move on to the next portion of the reading is, if somebody tells you who they are, don't argue with them. If someone says, you're too good for me, then they're not good enough for you yet. They're not ready. They are lacking the confidence, and they may be trying to save you from heartache. So what I would say in that situation is, I really wish you hadn't said that, because I didn't see it before, but now I'm going to listen to you. And I hope you can work on yourself, because I didn't see it that way, but I never sort of second guess somebody's truth. So if someone says I'm a bad person, I've had people say all of these things to me, and then they showed that they were all the things that they said that they were. So if someone told me I was, if they say like I'm a bad person, I'd say thanks for the heads up. Good to know. And if they say you're not good enough for me, say thank you for saving me time. I appreciate your honesty. It'll surprise the heck out of them, because a lot of times people want to be um, convinced otherwise, but it will also make them look at it a little bit more, and you can focus on something else. Okay. And if someone says I'm not ready, say, that's too bad. I am. And, I'll wait a little bit, but I won't wait forever. You don't have to talk someone into something. They're not ready. They don't want it. They don't see it. So this is the most powerful piece of it, is to accept what people show you. You can come back and say, I believe you're more than that, but you don't. And that's problematic. And you need to do some work. I don't feel like I'm not all of the Humpty Dumpty's soldiers trying to put him back together anymore. I've been there. I've done that. So if Humpty Dumpty tells me he's falling apart, then I'll say, here's someone that can help you. Go get the help you need. But I don't have to be the person putting that eggshell back together. Okay. So if you meet a Humpty Dumpty and they say they're falling apart, let themselves fall apart. Okay. Let them, because sometimes the falling apart lets them see who they are. There's beauty in that breakdown. They're able to see through things. And there you go. Okay, so there's a truth being revealed. The question is, can you see it? Can they see it? Are you accepting it? We have to use the owl, sort of like whatever it was, 270-degree rotation to really let that happen. All right, powerful message with a simple card, but that's what I got for that. All right, let's move on to the blessings and the blocks. That was your big idea. Blessings and blocks, just like they sound, things to embrace, things to avoid. Let's start with your blessing card. For the blessing, patience. It feels like you're going to be able to find some peace, find some patience. Temperance is also about taking that first step. I also associate temperance with April, based on the fact that we usually see lilies growing on it. And for me, just as a reader, I've learned to associate this card with April. So very shortly, we see some progress happening for you. The question is, can you continue to kind of push through to that, what we see as a breakthrough point here? I hope you can. I love that we always see an angel here. So it's being patient with yourself, being patient with others, and knowing just how far to go. You don't want to be lukewarm in anything, but the temperance card is about just taking just enough action where needed, and then letting the universe kind of show you what's coming next. Okay. So lean into your patience. It will serve you well. Let's look at what could block you over the next 6 to 8 weeks. All right. So I mentioned earlier that there was this sort of distance focus sometimes that we're doing. Farsightedness. I always get farsighted and nearsightedness confused, but basically looking in the distance, but not looking at what's up in front of you. So I think the important thing for many of you right now is to focus on what is in front of you. This is about being present as much as anything else, and grounded too, which for earth signs is going to be really, really important. So ground yourself in what it is you're trying to do. We see the hands-on energy. By the way, almost all the cards that I talked about are coming through. So that's some good synchronicities here. So I think it's going to be very, very important for you to look at, hey, look at how far I've come. Hey, look at what's going on around me. Oh my goodness, this person that I'm with as a friend, as a lover, as whatever, I'm blessed because of that energy. So take stock, do a little personal audit of the good stuff, use gratitude to kind of like emphasize that and let the universe know that you're grateful for what you've received and you're open to receive more, and then finish what you started. So don't let the small stuff slip away, and don't let something that you've started just sort of like sit there on the side and starve. You need to feed your dreams and feed your projects. As long as you do that, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with how far you're able to progress. This is going to be leading you to the Three of Pentacles, which will be recognition and publication and dispersion. Because of the World card, you need to be ready for that. There could be someone knocking and saying, "Hey, I need your resume. Hey, did you finish up that project? Hey, you're the first one that has to speak if it's a public forum or a school or something." Be prepared to be picked first and be ready. Have you ever noticed that the more prepared you are, you're usually the last? Just get ready and then relax and think, I'm ready. So if I'm called first, I'm ready and it's good. And if I'm not, it doesn't matter because I'm all prepared and I can just chill out and listen to other people stress out. So just be ready and do the small stuff and pay attention to the little details. Okay. All right. Let's throw a question out for you to vote on. Let me just grab my keyboard here and then we're going to take a look at some trends here that I think you might be benefited from understanding about. And then I'll let you vote on what you want to see since I didn't have a chance to let you vote on the cards earlier. All right, so let me create a poll. If you happen to be watching live and looking at it on a computer or a mobile device, you should be able to vote. If you're looking at it on a TV, you can't. Or if you're watching later, you can't. But we have a bunch of people here today, so we'll trust that they do the right thing. All right, so viewers, choice. I have to typing today because I do have a little cut that I'm nursing here. All right, so because of the tower in the world, I really want to see the energy of like, what's the message around change? So message around change. I think for the next thing that we're looking at here, really looking at how to be happy with the Three of Swords, because that was something that came through again and again. So I'm just going to say reclaiming happiness, maybe. And the final thing that I want to look at is what we were just talking about with the Seven of Swords. So seeing, like, basically, I'm just going to put Seven of Swords and we'll clarify it. Seven of Swords clarification. Basically seeing truth. So that's something that Athena would be happy that we're looking at as well. So you get a chance to vote on all of these. I'm going to ask for a message from Spirit while you're doing that. So take your time and you'll have a minute or two to vote on that. I'm going to shuffle the cards here and take a look at a message from Spirit or a message from your guides. Eight of Swords reversed. It's time to take the blinders off and be comfortable with stepping into the unknown. So I think for many of us, and this month in particular, it looks like one of the challenges is going to be understanding that we're not always going to have every single thing clarified for us. We'll be looking at some clarification here possibly in just a moment, but to a certain degree, we have to use our heart, our head, and take a leap of faith. So the Eight of Swords reverse is saying, I know I can't see everything, but I trust that I'm going to see enough, and I trust that I'm going to be okay. It's also liberation of self. So just as the Three of Swords can be a heart that's been kind of like weighted down, the Eight of Swords can, I think in some decks you might see a bird in a cage. So that's a nice metaphor for this. And I think we would feel like it would be easier to compute if you saw a caged bird. But the difference with the caged bird is that the sort of door is open. So the door is open and no one's blocking you. Why aren't you going through the door? Is it comfort? Is it fear? I really hate that phrase, the devil you know. No, the devil you know is still a devil. I've said that before. So if you just are staying for comfort, but the door is open, you should walk through the door and see what's on the other side. And that's really the message there. Okay. So it looks like message around change is coming through. It's a dead heat here. So this is going to be a tie. I need to really do 4 questions because I've been getting dead heats for like ties here for the last couple ones. So I might add a 4th in the future. All right. So let me shuffle the cards here. I'll probably read both 1 and 2 because it looks like they had an equal 34%. So let's see. Yeah, it's a tie. So I'm just going to start with the first one. The messages around change, since we had both the world and the tower card. So let's look at that first. Clarifying world, clarifying tower. Ace of Cups, a change for the better. This could be a new relationship coming into your life. I love that we see water lilies there at the bottom. So what this is showing you is that all of the sort of difficulty that you've been through is bringing you up to this moment in time. So sometimes we've got to go through the difficult stuff. It gives you context, okay? So you can and you will be happy again. It doesn't have to just be love. Sometimes we think this is as good as it gets. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Stop saying it. So it's not as good as it gets. There will be more to come. So you just have to tell the universe, I'm ready to receive it. We see a lovely thunderbird or a phoenix right above that, showing you that rebirth energy, okay? And we have like 2 little lilies there, ostensibly a future 2 of cups coming in as well. All right. So the change is good. The change will make you happy. You should feel good about the change. The Ace of Cups is an offer given to you. Does this heart space say yes? If it does, you say yes. If it says no, then you say no as well. The heart will help you decide if it's a decision of work, of love, of business, etc. Got to feel it here. Can't just be good on paper. It has to be good here too. All right, clarifying the next card, which was happiness. So reclaiming happiness. I feel like I just talked a little bit about that, but this is basically what's going on with the Three of Swords. What do you need to do to be happier? Let's kind of state the question that way. Interesting. Okay, we have the Ten of Swords in reverse. So this is moving beyond or stepping away from that that sort of feeling of three things. I'm going to slow down. The first thing is you haven't failed. So many times when the Ten of Swords happens, we feel like I failed. I failed myself. I failed others. You brought in an experience that was difficult. You learned a lot from that difficult experience. You're not going to repeat that difficult experience. Failure is only if you don't learn from it. If you learned, you may have suffered, but you didn't fail. Okay? So you gained a lot of context through whatever happened in the past that didn't work the way you wanted it to. Don't make it fail or pass. That's not how the world, we don't get a report card like that. You're always passing as long as you are learning and growing and adjusting, even if it's just a little millimeter at a time, right? You're still growing, you're still succeeding. So just feel like you've got some context. Avoid a moment where you have to sort of say something cruel. You don't have to say something cruel where you think, I'm going to do it. It feels right. I just got to get it. Avoid that moment, because once it's said, it can't be unsaid. So better to either reword or reschedule a meeting if you're very heated. So first thing, there is no such thing as failure. There's just like a lesson that's learned and not maybe succeeding at that point, but being able to be set up for success later. You don't want to say something hurtful and unless someone's super sensitive and that's just how it's going to come out. Be as brief as possible if you have to say something that's going to hurt. Sometimes when you say, I quit, we need to break up, this isn't working, whatever it is, then it's going to hurt. Then say it as quickly and as honestly as possible and get in and out. Don't put too much information in that. Quick, it's like a Band-Aid. Once it's healed, you got to take it off, right? So kind of like that. And then don't let one person's rejection create a story of your life. It's one person, one opinion, okay? You are not defined by one person's opinion. I think that's super, super important. Okay, great. Let's see. I just want to make sure that I covered everything. I think we did. We did a great job here. So we looked at channeled messages. We looked at all of the Celtic Cross. We expanded the forecast. We did the big idea, blessings and blocks, and you had a chance to look at it. So I think we're ready to move on to the final part of this reading, which is going to be two parts. First thing, before we get into it, write down the question that you have for me. As a thank you at the end, I always pull a final card based on your private question, your meditated question. So write it down and think about it as I'm talking here. And then after we meditation takes like a minute and a half, we will get into that question. All right. I only asked maybe 3 times in the whole reading. This is one time that I'm going to say. You can only hit thumbs up once per video. So if you've done it already, thank you. If you've not done it, please hit that thumbs up. If you're a longtime viewer, but you've never subscribed, remember it's the same as hitting follow on Facebook or on Instagram. It just shows that you're interested. You don't get anything. It doesn't cost anything. It's free, but it helps the channel. If you want to make sure that you see impromptus and future readings and never miss out, you can click the bell. That's the only thing where you're going to maybe get like emails if you do that, but otherwise subscribing, you're not going to. All right. If you want to say thanks or show support on replay, you can hit thanks there. It's right by the share button. And also right here and right now, if you want to, you can use the super chat button, which many of you are very familiar with. Okay. And if you'd like to join me on social media, I already posted the link up above. Here's all my social media platforms. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh just about everywhere but Twitter, which is Ashbaugh. A reminder that on social media, I'm never going to reach out to you. I'm never going to ask for something directly. There's a lot of imposters out there, so be smart about that. I also don't do personal readings, so if anyone's offering that, that's not legit. Okay, let's meditate. As we're looking at the different cards here today and the different messages, the heart seems like it's something that really wants to open up. I really like the metaphor of the caged bird. So let's imagine that we are that burden. We're going to free ourselves from the Eight of Swords, and the heart space is going to open up. Okay? All right, so close your eyes. Remember, this is just about 2 minutes, and then we can get into the final card. By the way, I'm going to give you a chance to vote on the pyramid or the singing bowl. So you get a chance right now to vote on what instrument you want me to use. It's there if you want to vote. All right, in the meantime, I just want you to close your eyes, take a deep breath. Letting go of any pressure, tension, mental sort of fogginess that you might be holding on to, just releasing all of that. All right, imagine that you are in a gigantic sort of birdcage hanging on the world tree. So everything's oversized. You could see yourself as a phoenix too, ready to rise from the ashes of past experiences, of things that have held you back in the past before, and understanding now that you are ready to kind of like let go. The phoenix is fire, so it can actually just take a nice deep breath and melt away the cage around it, or it can just take a step through that gate. Imagine that the gate looks magical, something akin to the card that I showed you earlier, where you could see a cosmic gateway in front of you. This gateway allows you to be that shooting star that you can see in the illustration. It allows you to go any place, any space, any time that you want to. So through this cosmic window, which is in this sort of like magical cage that you're in, you're going to free yourself from the limitations of family, ancestors, community, culture, religion, and also all the other things like prejudice, all the stuff that's been around you. You're going to push through beyond. You're going to be that blazing star. So see where you are, see where you came from, and now focus where you're headed and allow your light to lead the way. And I just want you to feel this sense of ease and speed and momentum. And that's all we're going to do with this meditation is create some movement, create some speed and some drive and some initiative. Okay? So I believe we have the pyramid that's winning today. So I'm going to play the singing pyramid. So just enjoy as I play this instrument. And when I'm finished, we can focus on your final question that you have for me. Taking a deep breath, I want you to imagine that just like that shooting star that we saw in the illustration, you're blazing a new path, a new trail. Anything is possible if you allow, if you dream, if you can see or feel that. Because of the work that you just did in that short meditation, you've created some speed. Things will happen faster than before. So set the expectation that I'm ready to receive love and abundance in the highest forms at a pace that I didn't imagine, something faster, something sooner, something even better than I imagined. Kind of hold on to that mantra and see what the next month brings you. When you're ready, gently come back into your body. Take a deep breath. Exhale. I want you to focus now on your final question that you have for me. It's a yes. We have the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. The thing with the Ace of Pentacles reversed is there is something about this that requires a little bit more to make you happy. An Ace of Pentacles reverse can sometimes be something that you're seeking, but when you receive it, you may think, that wasn't what I thought, or I want a little bit more. Or when you're looking at an offer, you think almost, but not quite. There could also be someone or something in your life where you are there's expressed interest in you. This happens sometimes when a person out of the blue comes up and says, "Hey, do you want to hang out?" Or a headhunter calls you and says, "We looked at your LinkedIn profile and think you'd be great for this job. Are you job seeking?" It can also be when someone looks at your house and says, "Is that for sale?" This is exactly. It could be an unsolicited offer. The card is reversed, so it means that there's something about the timing or the maybe the details of this offer that could be a little unexpected. For you, it's also saying don't be afraid to be the one that is the initiator when it comes to looking for these things too. Someone has to always be the first person to say something. If we're all waiting for another person, things take a lot longer. So when I used to do more coaching sessions with clients, one thing that would be frustrating sometimes is, especially for women that were dating men and were expecting men to come to them, I would be like, well, you could always express interest or let them know. They're like, I'm old fashioned. I expect them to do this and come to me and do this. But if you expect all this stuff, maybe you're missing out on someone who wants to make sure, doesn't want to kind of overstep. So don't be afraid to talk to someone and start the conversation off. Same thing happens for jobs. One of my best jobs, second or third that I got out of school, I applied to a job that didn't exist. I just reached out to a company and said, I like what you do. This is my skill set. I'm going to be moving into this city. Do you have any jobs? And I hit the right time. They hadn't even listed it. They said, yeah, you fortuitous timing. You came right before it happened. This was like 20 years ago. One of the best jobs in my life and one of the fun times that I had at a job. So I did that by a cold application. So whether it's you reaching out for something or someone reaching out to you, there's something about it that could be unexpected, but the element of surprise could be on your side. Aces are good, but you got to like what you're getting. You got a lot of aces today. So what'd you get? The Ace of Wands, the Ace of Cups, I believe, and also the Ace of Pentacles. All that's missing is the Ace of Swords, which is what we're talking about, being able to communicate it. So there you go. A really great sort of overarching reading for you. By the way, if you're job seeking, that Ace of Pentacles bodes very well. If you're looking for love, that bodes very well too. If you're in love, the other person's interested in something longer term. But again, there could be shyness around wanting to express that. Whatever it is, I like it. But there's a little bit of work that you have to do to uncover that pentacle. Okay. So thank you so much, everybody, for a lovely sort of look at the next month ahead for you. Really great energy for you overall, but there are changes, and the changes are really important. You should be doing what your heart says is right. But I do like the combination of the world and the tower. The world is helping kind of say that the tower is going to be a very good thing. So focus on embracing change and growth. It's going to take you to the next level. Okay. So let me go ahead now. And first of all, I just want to say thank you to anybody that was brand new. Thank you to all my existing members and Patreon supporters. You make all of these videos possible, and I'll continue to do new things this year. I've got some new surprises coming through in the spring. And if you're brand new and you want to become a member, one of the benefits is on the weekends, you can vote for the topics that I do on the weekend collectives. And whenever I do a Q&A and hit a milestone, I will open it up for questions. Okay. All right. So for anybody that did give back a little extra today, I just want to acknowledge you as well. So I wanted to start first by just thanking everybody that always comes and the existing members, because you deserve some gratitude as well. All right. So let's start with the brand new members that have joined. Let me put my glasses on. We'll take a look at this. All right. So starting with anybody that's new in the last day or so, there's about 4 members that I see here that have joined either today or yesterday. So today it looks like Angelic Unity rejoined after 12 months. Welcome back. It's good to have you back. We have Evelyn, Alexandros, and Sylvia, who joined or rejoined about a day ago. So I just wanted to say welcome to them as well. All right. And for those of you that were kind enough to give back with a super sticker or super chat, give me a moment here and I will acknowledge all of you as well. So I'd like to say thank you to Kathy, who actually, before I even started today, she had a $25 contribution. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And then also to all of these kind folks who gave back in today's reading: Muggle 1983, Divine Angel, Jason H, 10 with a bunch of nines, and the Mad Monica 11. Thank you all for making today possible. I really do appreciate your presence and all of your contributions today. So I hope you enjoyed the reading. And if you'd like to stay connected, like I said, I put the link up above, and I know Maria put the links there as well. So tomorrow I will be back on Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, looking at Gemini. I'll also be doing my weekend collective like I always do on Sunday. And next week, I'll be looking at Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. If you are kind of new to me and how I schedule things out, you can take a look at my website for more schedule information. And all of the links are there as well. Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic week ahead, a fantastic month ahead. And if I haven't already said so to you, Happy New Year. Okay, take care, much love and light, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.